Welcome back, everyone, to Coriander Society Yokai Blossom. I'm Tormented by Gnomes, your game master, joined once again after the break by BeatDownBlvd, NinjaManMat, and Pods of War. This is our Anime 5e arc, sponsored by Daisukami Publishing Company. You can pick up a copy of the Anime 5e rule set if you type !anime in the chat, or check out the Twitch panel down below if you're watching live, or check out the video description on YouTube if you're watching there. Get your own rule set, create your own custom characters with all sorts of ridiculous powers. It's a really, really cool... There's a character I've had in my head since 2006 who I've never been able to create with the D&D rules, who I am very confident I can make with the Anime 5e rules. The level of customization is awesome, so give that a look. When we last left our heroes, they were in Botan Village. They were discussing the secrets of Asena's past because she's just unlocked some additional power, and it sounds like whatever mysterious entity brought her back to life when the body that she occupied had its soul eaten by an undead abomination, that entity has visited this world and possibly many other worlds. While they were discussing that, it wasn't a vision. None of the characters saw it, but our players got to hear about Oniyuri Orvi, who is a determined young scion of the Oniyuri family who's currently stranded in a world called the Woods. He was about to be eaten by a blossom spirit when something else ate it. Something ironclad with a mouthful of fire. But anyways, ignore that. Nothing ever happened. That's none of your concern whatsoever. So back in the village, you've been having food with Shiori, who is the head mystic of the Botan village, responsible for the spirits of the dead, purity, and truth, who's been helping you sort of unpack some of Asena's business, sharing a meal with you, has offered to share more information about this world, but also wants to know what Gastone's business is in all of this. As Gastone reaches down to take a bite to eat, she says, "Now, I told you I smelled the steel about you, young man. What are your intentions here in our village and our world?"
Ending a blood feud.
And that's all?
Is there more?
No. Roll insight, please. A 22. Yes, there is more, but she very much does not want you to think about or know that.
Gastone's like the least busybody out of all of us. So if he's telling you what he feels, he's pretty much on the straight and narrow.
And who's the most busybody out of you?
Well, who do you think?
Wait, I also have a follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now that I know that she's capping, I'm gonna be like, hey, listen. You're hiding something you don't want me to know. I'm probably going to find out either way, but if you keep it from me, it's going to get me more interested. So why don't you just...
He's also the most threatening out of us.
I've seen these machines that the lot of you carry with you. Mm-hmm. The work of steel. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it works for your world is none of my business. Just as whether or not it works for our world is none of your business. She turns pointedly at John Carmichael.
John zooms the camera in on Shiori as she's doing this.
Oh yeah, I forgot this is like a documentary.
This is all being recorded. These people whose world was destroyed by climate change and got all this plastic and rare heavy metals and stuff.
I got a 23 by the way, or a 24
24
if that wasn't good enough to work on my tech.
Asena's trying to hide the ray gun.
The ray gun or the gigantic goddamn smart laser she carries on her back?
Yeah, I keep saying ray gun. The smart laser.
The atomic ray that Gastone pulled off of the Zorbots, that's a ray gun.
That's tiny.
That's a phaser. It. Yeah. This is, huge two-handed.
Seeing that Asena is trying to hide her big old smart laser, John is going to use his infernal heritage powers in order to cast Silent Image. And oh wait, that's right. Shiori can see through that stuff. Oh well, he does it anyway. just to make Asena feel better, he makes an image to where her giant smart laser looks like a bow staff.
Okay.
Oh.
Looks like a stick.
Like a badass stick made of ivory.
Our world has followed that path before, and what's left of it remains now buried beneath the bloom. What is dead must stay so for new life to rise. And you're traveling to the very heart of it, where the dewdrop should fall. I don't care how inquisitive your mind is, or how full of metal and wheels it may be. Don't meddle with it.
My head.
Don't poke around with it. Let it lie dormant and rusting.
Is Hana still alive?
Wait.
What?
What? You mean there's something here? Huh, maybe you shouldn't have told me.
Did you read the riddle?
Just said that I...
Hey, if it's such a concern, what if I were to take this thing off your hands and it can stay dead in my world?
Did you bring the capacity to transport an entire industrial metropolis to your world?
Well, not an entire industrial metropolis, but and John just looks over at their nearby table and opens up his briefcase and just shoves the table in the briefcase.
Is that the low table that all the food is on?
Yeah. Hey,
So there's just tea and sauce and food and fish spilled all over inside the suitcase.
Well, hopefully he didn't do that to everything that was messy. But
Be a
yeah,
lot funnier if you did, though.
yeah. Are you gonna clean my briefcase out?
No, I'm not.
Well, then you know what? You can survive with a cool end table.
All right, so you just shove an entire end table into your briefcase?
Yeah, he just takes the briefcase, he opens it up, and he just walks down the table and just holds the briefcase open and just
Just Pac-Man's the whole thing.
yeah, exactly.
Wow. Wait, so what I'm getting from this is there's this whole technological civilization that you want to forget about, but seem to talk about pretty often.
We don't forget about it.
I said want to.
We remember it carefully, lest the lessons be forgotten.
What are those lessons?
Unmitigated greed leads only to destruction. That we mortals were never meant to live in more than small groups and small societies, because as a massive collected whole, we are incapable of dealing with the consequences of our actions. We are incapable of putting aside short-term gain for long-term consequences. And we are incapable of actualizing more people than are inside of our village as actual humans. It's better for us to live this way.
Huh, never thought of that.
Question: are there only humans here aside from the?
Oh, no. There's precious few, but there are elves, half dragons, blink beasts, slimes,
and all of you
Nekojin.
this way?
We are not divided by our genes. We are divided by our villages. Every family, every village has a guardian spirit. Ours is the Botan spirit. We live communally, we live peacefully, and we still engage with the other villages. But we make journeys to each other. We live separate lives, and then we make journeys to each other to share stories and goods and wealth. Then we return to our own homes.
Apologies, and that is, by the way, thank you for sharing. What I meant was, all of the ancestries of this world came together and succumbed to greed and technology and whatnot. It was
They didn't all have to. All it took was the humans.
okay. That was my question. So it was the humans' fault.
Humans, elves. There weren't really half dragons before.
Elves? Really interesting. Okay.
Yes. I mean, we used to have, back when the 5 worlds were all connected, there was frequent travel back and forth. We had fairies and Azrai and demonagas and all manner of creatures from the 5 worlds. But if you think that trying to live as neighbors on one planet is difficult enough, The rest of it was just, the demons would keep sending blights to colonize other worlds and take captives in their conquests. The way gates are best left shut, and interlopers from outside worlds are best left where they belong.
But the Oniyuri are trying to change that.
Yes, they long for the convenience, the ease, and the fantastic wealth that came from the life before. Not all of them.
That's the entire village, or the entire town, or the entire society.
Not all of them. Not all of them. The Oniyuri spirit is a spirit of enterprise and ambition. It motivates them to travel, to trade, to push beyond their boundaries. Some of them, Orvi being the perfect example, take this to mean restoring the steel, restoring the ability to travel across the world in a matter of hours, restoring the ability to produce on a massive scale, build towers of steel and glass.
But does their guiding spirit forbid that?
A troubled look passes over her face.
I'm not trying to stir up trouble or preach. I'm wondering, like, honestly, is there something forbidding such a reclamation of old ways, or is that a hard-coded thing one way or the other, or what? Or is that hotly debated?
There's blossom spirits aren't talking to them anymore.
Aren't talking to them, or blossom spirits aren't talking to anybody?
Their blossom spirits are not talking to them anymore.
Oh, shit.
Interesting.
Those who bonded with them to unlock their inner powers have lost those powers. Those who served as their companions and trained alongside them have been abandoned.
And that's all of them, not just ones like Orvi.
Yes.
Has anyone gone looking for those wayward spirits?
Yes, of course. Botan is a village of bravery. We've sent out samurai to go investigate, and I've looked into the matter myself, and my conclusion is that they are cursed.
Cursed how?
When they started looking into the steel, when they started poking around, their connection was severed.
The Oniyuri clan, or
Yes.
the... Okay. But you've not been able to find the blossom spirits themselves.
The spirits are still out there. They're just not bonded anymore. They won't listen to them. They won't tend to them. Their connection is severed.
I'm still confused. So they don't care about what happens with the Oniyuri anymore?
Yes. Yes. The Votan spirits, the Koi Guardians, they protect us. They care about us. We can form strong bonds with them.
Okay.
Jisha has her bond with Ken. Others focus and train to channel the powers of those blossom spirits through their own bodies to unlock their inner light. All of those gifts have been lost by the Oniyuri.
And are they aware as to what inciting incident caused that?
I believe it was because they went digging around looking after the steel, and that the blossom spirits turned their backs on them. But it's not just a simple matter of a dispute. They are cursed. There is a dark curse upon that family, and it's new.
How new?
A year? Less?
I was kind of interrupting Gastone earlier. Is Hana still around?
No.
The original? No. How long ago did your world change to become Hana?
Oh, just over 100 years now.
Okay. All right. And a year ago, the Oniyuri were severed from their connection with their spirits.
Yes.
And you believe they're cursed, but you don't know that for certain. Is that right?
I know they are cursed.
You know
It is
they are cursed.
within my
Okay.
power, within my art, as a caretaker of spirits, to see the curse resting upon them.
So does that mean if the curse is broken, that the bond could be reformed between the spirits?
I believe so, yes.
Do you happen to know what it would take to release such a curse?
No.
Okay. Interesting.
But
Hey, by
thence
the way,
lies Orvi's desperation. They dabbled, they meddled, they poked about with the steel, flirted with the possibility of bringing it back, and now that the Blossom spirits have been disconnected from them, they're left with very little except their own ingenuity and ambition and desperation. And if Orvi can bring the steel to his people and renew their prosperity, then it will save them and make him a hero. But I think he's willing to pay a price that nobody else is.
And again, without moving into the bounds of sounding preachy, doesn't that seem like something the other families should be working towards averting? If you take this group of people that have at this point become disadvantaged, they don't have the same kind of benefits that the rest of the families do, they're likely going to be more likely to succumb to darker and darker things in order to make sure that they can compete, and without even trying to outdo the other families, just to make sure they have even some of the same privileges that the rest of you have, they could fall to the steel.
And that is the real reason why I'm sending Jisha with you.
Okay.
I'm hoping that the answers can be found over the 7 mountains.
So you're giving us a quest.
I'm giving her a quest and sending her to make sure that your quest doesn't stir up any more trouble than it already has. But
Okay.
Is that her quest?
yes,
Hmm.
she doesn't know it yet. We'll have that conversation shortly.
Yeah, honesty is the best policy in terms of these things.
It's not,
Yeah,
it's
otherwise
not
you get shot in the
dishonesty. It's
foot.
just, it's been on my mind, and then along come you folk out of nowhere and Orvi stirring up trouble. It just seems like the right time. It seems like everything's aligned. What were you saying anyways, Gastone?
Something metropolitan city, something.
Oh yes, the cities of the steel are buried beneath the bloom all over the world. This just happens to be the greatest center of them.
So what are the how? I want to walk you through a hypothetical. Hold on, let me finish. If I were to take some stuff, scale of 1 to 10, how pissed would you be, give or take?
Take it where?
Home.
It depends. One, I would caution against it, but I'm not your spiritual advisor, so you're under no obligation to listen to me.
Good start.
2, it would depend entirely on how much other steel got stirred up or awakened in the process.
Are you make it? You sound like this steel is sentient.
Some of it probably is.
Yes.
Yeah, what if you took a whole bunch of like old steel and then uncovered a bunch of new steel underneath it?
New would be a problem. There shouldn't be any new. There shouldn't
Maybe
have.
Well,
it's
if there
growing.
is sentient or sapient steel, do you think it's just going to let you keep it buried?
Yes.
Oh.
Not by choice. The bloom has prevailed.
So there's this really, I was talking about movies and shows and stuff when I first got here. There's this really interesting film where I come from. And one of the key lines in that movie is that life finds a way. And regardless of if that life is organic or synthetic, it's very likely that, well, again, I'm not trying to sound preachy. I'm just kind of giving you another idea to look at here. If something's buried and you're keeping it trapped, it's going to try to get out. Maybe it would be better to try to reason with or talk to or make some kind of arrangement with said thing. Maybe it just wants to leave.
Well,
Perhaps
how
you
about
could-
somebody who's an expert in the matter can go and do the talking?
I mean, you've made it very clear that, you know, we're not experts. We're foreigners. We're
You've got, look, she looks directly into the camera that you're using to record her and then looks over at you.
Hey, don't look in the camera. You're breaking the fourth wall here, okay?
We
Keep
have
looking
lived
at
a
me.
peaceful life in harmony with the Blossom spirits, healing the broken earth for 100 years. You have been doing who knows what. Between the two of us, you're more likely to be equipped to deal with and speak with and communicate with anything that might be under there.
So you're giving us your permission then when we go on this adventure?
I give no such permission. What happens
I'm
there
getting
is not with...
complicated signals from you right now.
I got it. She's saying, do what you want, but don't fuck it up.
She really is an offshoot of the Great Dragon of Wisdom. Do not give permission because that permission would not be mine to give. That is what I mean. My dominion is over the spiritual well-being of the people of the Botan village and of our dead. What transpires within the steel heart is out of my domain. I can give you caution, I can give you admonishment, guidance, advice, but I cannot give you permission to do something that could affect the fates of everybody on this world. I can only say that of anybody, you are perhaps the best equipped to have those conversations.
Well, then it's a good thing we came along.
Fate seems to be playing its hand. Whether for good or ill, time will tell.
Anyway, here's your table back, and John just kind of... Asena, can you grab that in? This is kind of difficult to do by myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like one-handed pulls it out.
And pull, and then a bunch of guns just like flop all over the ground. Oh yeah, hold on. And John just shoves all that back inside of the briefcase. Sorry about that.
The old weapons of the steel.
Those were mirages.
Yes. Very interesting, fun mirages.
Well, this was interesting. I thought Orvi just wanted pie.
Apparently, pie is steel in this world.
Was a code word.
But steel makes pie. Steel mass produces pie.
Speaking of which, I don't think I've had a single piece of pie since I've been here. Do you have any pie?
Well, I have a couple of delectable flaky pastries, but not specifically pie.
That's unfortunate.
Do you think if we taught Orvi how to make pies with like some like a clay oven, he would
it would take too long for his steaks. I'm sure he knows how to make pie. He just doesn't want it to take hours and hours to meticulously grow the grain and grind it to the proper consistency and mix it with the butter from the cows that you've raised yourself and all of those things.
So we teach him magic.
I just had a thought.
Hit us, spirit lady. Hit us.
Perhaps if the curse on Orvi's family were lifted, I suspect that still would not be enough to contain his ambition. I doubt his ambition can truly be held within this world.
Are you asking us to take Orvi with us when we leave?
Maybe he'd be happier somewhere else. Maybe his restless...
He said that there was more than just Orvi who was into this stuff.
Right, but you know, I can't speak for all of them. I happen to know Orvi. He's been a plague to our village on multiple occasions. He really, really annoys Jisha. So that's the area to which I can speak. The breaking of the curse could balance things out, and then if Orvi were to become aware of... Where did you say you were from again?
Many places.
Even better. Perhaps there's a place out there he can take his ambition and go away.
How does Orvi feel about balls?
Oh, goodness.
What, like dances?
Yes. Parties.
You'd have to talk to him. The topics never really come up.
We could take him off the world to go to a party.
You're trying to get guests.
And then maybe he falls in love and never comes back.
That's true.
happy endings all around, especially the never comes back part.
Well, I mean, once I got off my world, I haven't really been back very often. So,
Do you miss it at all?
yeah, definitely. But
Do you?
yeah,
What do you miss most?
well, I don't really miss Northport, but I miss my jungle and I miss living there and the nature, and I'm worried about Tomorrow Town and everything getting ruined. But also, there's a lot of other universes out there, and so I am distracted from thinking about it.
What about your wolf family? We haven't really talked about that.
They died, John.
Did they? All of them?
Yeah.
Have you ever talked about that?
Gosh,
When
I'm
they
sorry to hear
die.
that, Asena. That sounds awful.
You probably glossed over it when we were making introductions, but yeah, that's why I came to Northport. Because it was all of them.
I thought you were just curious. I didn't realize your family died. My gosh, I'm sorry.
Well, they weren't. They were killed.
By who?
I don't know. The people.
Do other people live in the Zolquin jungle? I know so little about that place. I should probably learn about it before I nuke it inevitably.
Does Gastone know very little about it, or does Beatdown know very little about it?
Yes.
Okay, because the reason I ask is because in one of those, I have you roll a check to see what you know about it, and in the other, I don't. Or in both, I ask you to roll a check, but in one of those, your check reveals a lot more than the other.
I would like to roll and be informed, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
I will take history on this unless you can offer a different skill.
History sounds good. History doesn't sound good anymore.
Okay.
John's gone adventuring there. He probably has quite a bit of knowledge about the Zolkian jungle.
I'll start with Gastone, and John, go ahead and make your roll. So, Zolquia is another country. It's actually a confederacy of multiple countries, and it has been inhabited for thousands and thousands of years, to the extent of human history. There's actually a movie that was going to come out featuring Tobias, the guy who shot your father, who is dead as now.
Get fucked.
And Charlotte Carver, who is also one of the angels. I believe she's the one who they captured. She's the one who the department captured. One of the two surviving angels, the department got her. Both these movie stars were, in fact, vampire spawn. Anyways, they were going to do a movie because the ancient rulers of the Zolquian jungles were infamous, powerful ruling class. They underwent several different iterations and changes, but a couple of 100 years ago, like 400 to 500 years ago, there was a revolution against the ruling class that overthrew. It was a monarchy, an indigenous ruled monarchy until then. Then the indigenous lower class overthrew them and formed a confederacy. Large amounts of the jungle are still uninhabited, or they've got small indigenous populations that have been primarily left to themselves. But there are huge ruins in the Zolquian jungles of that old decadent ruling class that got thrown out. The last ruler of that was Tlakalel, who made all these artifacts with like masks and axes, and he practiced human sacrifice. He would like take the commoners and just kill them for sport, all sorts of gnarly stuff until he was
spirit that I interacted with.
Yeah. He was the last king of the Zolquian jungles.
Oh wow.
He was killed, and now they have a thriving economy, their own society, all these different little small countries that are part of it. They are on the southern border of the Commonwealth, which is the country that Northport is the big city of. And yeah. So it's a bunch of small countries that all sort of have a trade agreement, kind of like the EU. So it's inhabited, but various like degrees of inhabited, right? You've got huge cities and very dense areas, and then you've got deep jungle with a couple of uncontacted indigenous populations and mixes thereof. So it depends entirely on where Senapulcre is, what you're going to be nuking, and what size nuke you use.
That's still
Any other questions? John, you got a 14, so I think I kind of ran overboard on the 8. Let's say that it started out with, it's a country. There's a bunch of countries. They all are part of a single trade and government.
John went rambling and started answering.
Take my ramble from me.
And went, yeah, exactly, overboard with it.
Mm-hmm.
And wolves, of course.
And wolves. A lot of biodiversity in the various Zolquian areas. And there's the area called Zolquia has deserts and mountains and stuff as well, but it's very, very well known for the jungles.
Anyway, off kilter, but again, sincerest apologies, Asena. I did not recall that. Appreciate you reminding us. That's really sad.
It's okay. We can get revenge one day.
But revenge on who? We'll have to find that out at some point.
Yeah.
But this is not the Zolquian jungles, nor is it Yord. We are on Hana and are making our way. Are we going to the woods at all? Or are we avoiding that place entirely and just
I would avoid that if at all possible. Your journey should not require going there for any purposes.
So you say. Something in the back of my head is telling me otherwise. But hopefully...
if you do have to go there, you'll have Jisha with you, so...
Yeah, speaking of Jisha, by the way, that was my follow-up question from earlier. You mentioned that she is known as a blink beast, is that right? I'm not familiar with such an ancestry. What are blink beasts?
They dwell within the woods. They first arrived here when Hana called the bloom. They are somewhere between mortals and blossom spirits. Very quiet, secretive beings that have only slowly emerged from the woods now that the bloom is everywhere. They are in harmony with nature. It responds to them. They respond to it. They can also teleport a lot.
Man, this is Matt asking, not John.
Mm-hmm.
From what he understands about the connection to the spirits and now the blink beast connection to the spirits, would blink beasts be humanoids, or are they closer to like fae?
They're closer to like fae or plants.
But are they classified as humanoids, or are they classified as...
They are classified as humanoids.
Okay. But they have like an ancestry that relates to like fae and plants. Okay, cool.
You know what, Gastone? If you're able to talk Orvi into... She makes a sweeping shoe gesture. And don't stir up any great mechanisms of destruction or... Then taking some other things out of our world probably wouldn't do any harm either.
Now remember, not giving you her permission. She can't do that. She's merely stating that if in the right place at the right time, it happens to make itself available.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm writing a list right now. I'm going to think about how I'm going to be transporting things. What am I even going to expect to find down here? Oh my god. I did not expect such a thing to exist in a place like this.
Yeah. Gastone, just in the course of meddling around and such, roll a science check for me. Natural 20. Okay. So, your readings on this world with your scanner and such, the atmosphere has trace elements of heavy metals and things that you would expect to find in a highly industrialized, very advanced society. Advanced past Northport. Maybe not like Lacunas advanced, but definitely well past Northport. However, And so there was a lot of industrial pollution in the air. You can expect to find, for that much trace background levels to be present, two things have to have been true. One, the civilization that covered this planet was expansive, huge, heavily industrialized, post-industrial, and global. Just the whole world was living a fairly high-tech life. And two, some process has been reversing that. Like, the carbon has been, they had an overabundance of carbon in the atmosphere, and it's been leached out over the last 100 years. So just with that, one, feel free to say, hey, I got a 20. Would I know anything about this? But you can tell that like this was a huge, they had airplanes, they had cargo liners, they had a little bit more than that, might have started doing a little bit of suborbital, post-orbital space travel. Yeah, it was prodigious. And magic has been real here for a very long time. The bloom was not the first source of magic.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Question: the steel, is it also on the other worlds connected to Hana, or was that just specifically relegated to this location?
It was mostly this world. The what was the name of that other world? The demons and their planet, they've got their own metal and wheels and machines and torture engines and war and who knows what else. Bazaroth. Yeah. It wasn't quite the same. I wouldn't call it the steel. More
But
grotesque.
There's technology in these other worlds, though.
Yes, but ours was the most. We had gone the furthest along that blindsided path.
At least as of 100 years ago.
Yes.
And how long have your worlds been disconnected? Was it at that point?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Interesting.
Hana shut the way gates when she
Are
ushered
all
in
of
the
the
bloom.
worlds disconnected, or just this world from the rest?
I don't know.
Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. During the course of their conversations, John is kind of every now and then just kind of looking down at his own gun. And I don't remember if John could talk to his gun mentally or not. They have kind of a empathic.
There's
connection.
empathy, but there's no communication.
John is just kind of checking in with Krontaka to see how it feels about this world that they're on. This
Not
world
a
that is
fan. Not
a
a
fan.
fan. Yes.
Okay.
But it's not the burning hatred that you sometimes see. It's a high level of suspicion.
Because the Blossom Spirits, while not inherently necessarily Fey, are very closely connected to them. Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Noted. Well, I think I would like to turn in. Is there somewhere where we can get quarters or somewhere to rest for?
Yes,
I'm assuming we're not setting off until tomorrow, right?
No, yeah. Definitely wait until tomorrow.
Okay.
Send you out at dawn, first light.
Oh, okay.
It's auspicious. I mean, you don't have to, but it's auspicious.
Yeah.
It is auspicious.
It's a good omen. A true warrior rises with the sun.
Yeah, I'm more of a wizard. But yeah, we can. I'll set an alarm. What time does the sun usually rise up in this here place?
When the sun comes
Sorry.
up.
How many hours from the middle of the night till the beginning of the morning usually?
Oh,
take
6.
place? Okay, that's not too bad. And mate, as about right now, I'm assuming the sun's still up. What about time is it currently?
It's like afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Cool.
you don't have to turn in, but you've got if you dip on Shiori, you've got hours to do whatever it is that you please.
John wants to start setting up more wards and tattoos and start preparing spells. His relic his rather rune spells that he could still use take a long time to cast.
Okay.
Because he has to use his book to do so. So he's going to go ahead, unless anybody needs him for anything. He'd like to find out where they're going to be staying. Also, John wants to, when Shiori is done with the rest of the group, he wants to take the party with him to wherever they're going to be staying and have a quick little aside, since there's a conversation they've needed to have that's kind of overdue.
Yeah, they've got a side barracks for you that it'll be a private room. It's not like a barracks. It's kind of close to a barracks. Small, austere quarters. Sliding doors. Nice cots to sleep on. Nothing fancy.
Okay.
So you're welcome to go off to your room. You're escorted out by some of the acolytes wearing, again, all white.
John wants to ensure that there's going to be privacy. They're not going to be overheard or watched during their
Roll
stay.
an insight check, please.
Yes. I will do this thing that you ask. 23.
The Botan clan may be suspicious, but they are also honorable. They're not spying on you. They told you you'd get privacy. They're as good as their word. You get privacy.
Okay, very good.
The three of you are now inside this sort of small room with a few different bunks. There's some dividers so that you can have like just a little bit of privacy to yourselves, but it's like a sliding door. It's not completely separate rooms. Small cot in the middle, window out over the water. You can hear the waterfall splashing down. Nice, cool, misty air. And the three of you are alone, plus Chester.
Wow, this is quite a thing. Hey, by the way, again, congratulations, Asena. That was an impressive feat. I know that you can do some pretty miraculous things, but running and then swimming up a waterfall, that was amazing.
I knew I could do it.
Oh, I knew you could too. Absolutely.
I mean, thanks.
So it sounds like while we're here, we're going to attempt to, and John kind of looks through his notes, we're going to travel through the thunderstorm, or rather, first we're going to cross 7 mountains to where the bloom consumes the steel. That's going to be important, where the bloom consumes the steel. That's got to be,
Like
we should probably check with Shiori on that. That sounds very metaphorical.
a building or something.
Something indeed. While we're there, we have to find a single dewdrop that falls from a thunderstorm, which is very interesting that there's going to be a single dewdrop from a thunderstorm. Hopefully we'll be able to spot and then collect such a thing.
Dewdrops don't come from thunderstorms.
Well, this one's going to.
That's weird.
So, 7 mountains, bloom consumes steel, dewdrop in a thunderstorm. Okay. Well, as long as we keep that on our minds, I'm sure it's all going to make itself clear as we move on through our journey. And apparently, John looks over to Gastone. We're going to be looking for steel on the way.
More or less.
I mean, as long as we don't upset our hosts, I don't see a problem with it. I'd be very happy to collect some samples. That would be wonderful.
Something tells me you'd be fine with it even if the hosts weren't happy.
Well, you know me all too well, Gastone.
It's only been a couple months, but it feels like a lifetime, you know, John?
I would agree. It feels like it's been years.
You could say that, yeah, a year and a half.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
at least.
Just throwing out random figures out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know you both so well over such a short time. Yeah, you know, I'm a collector, I'm a tinkerer. I like to just grab a little bit here and there. Speaking of grabbing a little bit here and there, I have been trying to find the words to share this with you. And honestly, I don't really know of a way that I can explain this without fussing it up in some way. It seems that whenever I try to take care in my interactions with people I care about, I tend to say the wrong thing at the wrong time. So I'm going to go ahead and just come out and say it and hope that with this what seems like years that we've been together will show through, and your trust in me will not be marred in any way. When we were in the pyramids, we got separated a couple times. You went to the dragon graveyard. You were setting about learning the secrets of the Mara spawn, and I was attempting to take the pilgrims that I had in order to secure negotiations with the Marutax that were hidden. However, that got mussed up pretty bad, and I got taken very briefly. Do you all remember when we were on the Kunis? There was an ambush when we were running originally from the oh gosh, I can't remember their names. Mate, can you remind me? We were on the ship.
The Throden Kothar.
Well, yes. No, but that's not the one we were running from initially. We were running from the Exarch. The Exarch.
The Exarchate, yeah.
We were fleeing from the Exarchate, and we got ambushed initially by the resistance. They had been coming, the coalition, or rather members of the coalition that have been kind of broken off and done their own thing, had ambushed us, retrieved us, and then they were on their way back. They then were ambushed by the dragon spawn of the Throden Kothar, which then we were ambushed by the Psykers of the Principality. Regardless, when the Throden Kothar attacked, I know we got ambush after ambush. It was a series. Oh my gosh. There was a fiend in charge of that ambush. Do you remember? It very briefly showed up.
Blue guys.
Yeah, there was all those blue dragon dogs and those big thunder rhinoceros that were attacking us. Well, there was also this large burrowing creature, and sitting atop of it was this fiendish dragon-looking sorcerer of some kind. We did battle briefly, and I captured it. I don't know. There was a lot going on. I don't know if either of you remember.
You captured it?
Well, briefly.
You put them in your briefcase?
No, not in the briefcase. No, John takes out Kruntaka and sets it on the table before them. With Kruntaka's aid, I was able to briefly capture this being inside of a magical circle. There, I negotiated its withdrawal and surrender, and in return, I was granted certain boons by it.
Which being was this? Remind me.
I believe his name was Korgamaz. And I don't know if you can see on the screen there, but it looked like a rather large, rather scary-looking dragon fiend.
Oh, that does look pretty scary. Big.
I could have just killed it, but again, you knowing me, I tend to usually deal more so in information rather than just trying to kill things. And so I had negotiated the surrender of this being by allowing it to give me certain bits of information as time goes on. I could call upon it in order to answer certain questions. Normally, such a thing requires a transfer of abilities, usually some form of favor or soul. But considering I was sparing its life, I was getting, I believe it was 3 questions was the initial bargain. Down the line, it turns out this being came to me after I had lost my magic. When Hara and I had come to our understanding, and I passed on the mantle of power that I had once collected in order to help heal the damage that I had caused when I had changed her form and uprooted her from her previous life. We made amends, and I was perfectly fine.
How did he come to you?
Well, that's the thing. I went into an elevator, the elevator that you yourself had separated from when that great giant mechanism was attacking you. I went into the elevator, and when I came out, I was in hell. The demon devil rather, had transported me to the plane of Avernus.
What?
Yes. It had plane shifted me to another world.
You went to hell while we were gone?
Very briefly. From what I was told, I was assured that while the rest of my fellows were in their plight, the amount of time that I was spending there in that realm was only going to amount to about a second in real space.
Were you there for years?
Oh goodness, I hope not. But it did feel like quite a long time. No, I do believe though I spent the better part of an afternoon doing what I did there. Anyway, suffice it to say, you have seen in our recent interactions, I've had access to very small amounts of magic again. John uses prestidigitation in order to produce just wisps of cloud surrounding him. He uses silent image in order to have a perfect copy of Chester walking around the room. But these are not my gifts. These were given to me by another. Look, the long and the short of it is this. While I was there, Korkamaz had said that Tiamat, I'm not sure if either of you have heard that name, the great fiendish dragon queen, basically the queen of evil dragons that lives in hell, had been taking notice of what I had been up to and some of the shenanigans that I had been pulling in and around the Flesh of Kor. You guys know about the Flesh of Kor. We've talked about this at length. It's the thing that was on my world. It's the great evil, elder evil that we're trying to stop. All of the different, you got it. Well, Tiamat does not want Kor to be reborn into this world. And even though Tiamat herself is a great evil, she's not as bad as Kor. Tiamat had offered me a bargain. She had said that if I was to not give her my soul, but enter into an agreement to temporarily serve her, she would grant me power of magic once more.
How long is temporary?
Are the powers permanent, or are they until the task is done?
It depends, honestly. I'm not. I myself am a wizard by trade. I've not really dealt with the warlock end of things, giving a part of yourself over to another being in order to get power. It depends. Sometimes the transaction is permanent, in which even if you separate yourself from your patron, you still retain your powers, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes if you separate from your patron, you lose the boons that you were granted. It really depends.
It seems like something you should know before you
Yeah.
agree.
It is one of those things that, look, I'm going to tell you right now, when you're engaged with a literal god and you are watching your P's and Q's and making sure that you are using the right amount of sass in order to get what you want, but not too much as to be squashed like the bug you are before such an immense being, suffice it to say, I was able to secure what I believe was a very lucrative deal. I want to make sure that on our continued adventures, I can prove useful. And while my investigative skills and many trinkets are on their own, powerful to a point, I wanted to make sure that I could bring a little bit of a magical kick and assist the both of you in that way as well. So I had agreed to enter into several years of service.
Years?
Yes, years. Mm-hmm. Several years of service with the Dragon Queen, and effectively what I need to do is whenever I sleep somewhere, I'm going to have to make some kind of carving or leave some kind of token in order to show my dedication to the Dragon Queen. I have to give up a certain amount of money. It's weird. They tax you, apparently. Korgamaz is going...
You can't carve here.
I'm going to have to carve somewhere.
They're going to find it.
Well, I'm very good at what I do, but
and what can Tiamat do with your carving here?
I am certain it does something, but I am not entirely sure. Aside from likely just give her presence, vision in the area, I'm not at all certain, to be honest. Gods can do a lot, especially when their markings and followers are spread across the multiverse. They gain more power the more people believe in them, the more they know about them. It's likely that by doing this, yes, I'm going to be adding in some way to her presence. Now, one of the reasons I bring this up is that if I make a carving, obviously, I have to make sure that I put it there. But what happens to it after I'm gone, I can't really be held accountable for, I would say. That's why I'm bringing it up to you. My thought is, when I stay at various places that need to have some lavish offering to the Dragon Queen. If I make such an offering, but one of you happens to mar it or ruin it in some way, how can I be held accountable for such a thing? Especially if I have no knowledge that it occurs. Just putting that out there.
You're asking us to clean up after you.
I
That's what
didn't
it sounds
say
like.
I didn't say any such thing. I'm merely letting you know that, much like when certain animals leave droppings as they go and others clean it up, I'm just letting you know that's a thing that could happen.
Others cleaned it up.
Again, much like Shiori had said, I'm not giving anyone permission. I'm just saying that if it happens to, walk across, your field of vision and you feel like doing something about it, that's a thing that could happen. Let's see, where were we?
We were at the part where you teamed up with the evil Dragon Queen because you felt bad that you didn't have powers on our adventures.
God damn, Asena.
That is a very cutting to the quick way of saying it, yes. What it boils down to is this. Much like I oppose Kerr in all things, so does Tiamat, and that's the crux of our deal. The point of our bond was to make sure that I was given enough power in order to assist with keeping Kerr from returning to this world. That's honestly the most important thing on my mind, has been for quite a while. I need to, in some way, try to assist Tiamat in removing herself from hell. I don't know exactly how, and I made a point with speaking with the goddess how to do that, and I'm sure in some way I'm going to be helping with that. It could be that I will likely be called upon to do certain things over the course of our continued connection. I'm not certain what that's going to be. I did want to assure the both of you that this group of ours, 1-2 punch, this comes first. And I'm likely going to catch hell for that, literally. But this is not a power play. I'm not seeking to recover any sort of lost merits that I once had. This is merely to make sure that as we move forward with our adventures, I will be of use. You know about the building thing, and I have to pay a tax to join this weird warlock cult thing. And that's basically the crux of it. So I'm just sharing with you. Oh, and I might as well show you this. John goes ahead and he takes off his upper clothing to reveal just the ludicrous amount of like draconic tattoos that like cover his like back and like, I don't know, upper shoulder arms area.
Oh my gosh.
That have like literally been burned into his flesh.
Shit.
And it was so horrific that Asena passed out.
You know how sometimes in manga, the character will respond with just ...
Yeah.
You transcended that and she turned into the ...
I think my phone died.
F.
In any case, again, I'm sharing this with you because I want to make sure that you're in the know. Again, we've made it very clear that I have no intention of deceiving or lying to either of you. And this has been something that I've been struggling with trying to bring up for some time. And I just want to make sure that before we continue, you're in the know. And I mean, this is one of those ask for forgiveness, not permission. I can't really go back on this. So if you're not okay with it, I apologize. But this was something that I thought was important and was going to be of use to all of us during our future adventures. So thus far, I haven't heard hide nor hair from either Korgamaz or Tiamat. My thought is that their requests and interferences are going to be few and far between. But aside from getting the magical powers and force of personality befit a dragon, I have, 9? I have 9, not just 3, but 9 acts of service that I could call upon Korgamaz, the envoy of Tiamat, for. So if we ever get stuck and need to get a jail-free card, I have a way in which to pay a very small fee in order to do so. Again, normally, like I said, you have to usually pay in blood or soul for such acts of service. However, we can just say that I'm getting the employee discount on such things.
Given that Asena is taking a moment to process, what do we see when the camera turns over to Gastone?
He's still eating. Excavating lost technological civilizations is it's hungry work. Need a lot of calories.
You haven't even started doing that.
I'm prepping. I'm not bulking. There's like
Preloading.
I'm storing.
Preloading?
Preloading.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There it is.
One does not
Preloading.
go and produce heavy weightlifting properties on an empty stomach.
I mean, technically you can, but for the sake of my narrative, I agree with you.
I'm going to agree with your complete lack of facts because it reinforces my own delusions.
Because I made it the cup.
Wait, okay, since we're on that really quick, ladies to know, is that from the actual game or is that a meme?
No, it's from a parody video.
Okay, because that there's so many meme lines in that game, like in the actual
Yes.
it's
script,
hard
I
to
can't
tell the difference
anymore.
between memes and reality, for sure.
Yep.
I'll link you the vid.
Thank you.
Anyways, does Asena have anything to respond to?
Yeah. She will be quiet for a while, and then, well, first she'll ask, is the evil dragon Hell Queen going to be a problem with the rainbow dragon?
To my knowledge, no. But I don't exactly know the intricacies of an evil deity and a possible knowledge deity, possible powerful spirit. We don't even know technically if the Great Dragon of Wisdom is even an entity that subscribes to the preferences of alignment. It could be an entirely neutral entity or removed from such a classification system.
Or they could be enemies.
Considering it is a silver dragon, yes, it is very likely that they could be opposed to one another, since the chromatic and metallic dragons historically do not get along well. However, again, I just want to make sure that I'm very clear on this. I have not made a pact with Tiamat for power. I have made a pact with Tiamat in order to oppose and stop Kerr, the horrible void dragon of utter destruction, from returning to this or any world. Beyond that, yes, because fiends always want to try and get a little something, I am to assist Tiamat in specifically trying to leave Avernus and in improving her favor across the worlds and improve her horde. But beyond that, I get magical powers, draconic, and some favors. Again, I want to make sure because I don't know if you were still passed out or not. But I have 9 get out of jail free cards that I can call upon for Korgamaz, that fiendish entity that I had trapped. 1 for each level of hell. I'm able to get an employee discount in order to get either a favor or knowledge of some kind. I can call upon him to offer us assistance for 24 hours at a time. So that is incredibly useful.
Handy. Can I try and read one of his tattoos?
Yes. There are praises to Tiamat, mother of dragons, called Takesis, called the Great Leviathan, and blessed be her 1,000 names and her 1,000 children, devourer of worlds, wealthiest and richest, first and foremost, superior to the platinum dragon in all regards. May her freedom be imminent. And other stuff like that.
You know your back says she's the mom dragon?
Yeah, I know what it says. I know what it says.
Who's the platinum dragon?
That would be Bahamut or Paladine or any of the other illustrious titles that he himself has bestowed upon himself throughout his 1,000 worlds and yada yada yada. Look, if I made a pact with Bahamut, it would have said the exact same thing, but in reverse. My sister sucks. I'm the best, and everyone should love me because I am the father of
They're
good dragons.
siblings?
Yes.
Why does that have to be in the contract? It feels irrelevant.
Have you met dragons?
Gods are prideful. Dragons are more so.
So this is just a brother and a sister fighting for who's best?
There's also a cousin that's made of gems, and they kind of don't matter as much.
Toxic?
Huh.
Weird.
I'm learning a lot about how the universe works, and I feel like I've been saying that every day for a very long time now.
You and me.
Does
both.
it ever end?
No.
You and me both? Aren't you like 1,000,000 years old?
No, I'm not even close. I am not an old man. I am a human. I'm a human with a very short lifespan. This is why I moved to wizardry, to try and claim as much power and substance as I could in my very short life, and it was ripped away from me, and I'm totally okay with that. And let's stop talking about how old I am and how much magic I don't have.
Wait, how old are you?
John puts his clothes back on.
The man asked you a question, John.
Huh? What's that?
How old are you?
You know, it's one of those things that... Look, they say never ask a lady her age, and I would say that in this regard, you can call me Jonathan or something, because I don't really want to share that.
He's like in his 30s, I think.
Oh, okay.
John certainly looks like he's in his 30s, for sure.
Yeah, checks out.
I don't know why you don't want to tell us. I'm the oldest one here.
I was gonna say Asena's probably actually 1,000,000 years old.
Both of you make an insight check.
Wait,
Are you
what?
the DM now?
I'm going to allow it.
Okay.
Please be good. Please be good.
Fingers crossed one of us needs
He's
to get this.
16 and a 10. Gastone, you have been given inspiration by chat, however.
Oh, cool. We're using that.
Ding ding, cashing it in.
Yeah.
I just learned I can pop this out.
Damn it.
Yeah, that's not any better. That's not any better at all.
I have 2 inspiration left. I'm using one of them.
I'm going to allow that.
Okay, no, hold on, wait. You don't even have to bother rolling. If you're gonna spend 2 inspiration, I'm gonna go ahead and say,
Okay.
ah.
I'm gonna roll just for fun.
You roll just for fun. Okay, there you go. Hey, 23. Well, there you go. That would have been good enough. Well done. Okay, look. When I left Earth, I was 33 years old. I don't know exactly how long it's been, to be completely frank. I've been traveling to a lot of places over many years, and sometimes the length and duration of my stays in various worlds is a little bit wibbly wobbly. It may have been 2 years, it may have been 5 years, it could have been 10. And honestly, the idea that I've missed my 40th birthday while running around trying to save the multiverse, I don't really want to think about that. I would like to just think that I'm still 33 and this is a horrible dream, and one day I'm going to wake up and have my life back. But that's likely not the case. And so I just, in my 30s, John Carmichael is in his 30s, and until I ever return to my life and find out how long it's actually been, or...
Oh.
What?
No, it kind of makes sense. Well, as much as it can for me, who's learning about these things.
Also, even if I am in my 40s, 40 is not that old, all right?
No one's.
And I don't like being called an old man.
Oh, you just give off those wise old man vibes because you know stuff and have things. Pulls out the phone.
I pride myself on the knowledge that I've collected throughout the years, so thank you. I appreciate that. That being said, are we okay? Mm-hmm. John puts his fist in the middle of the table, hoping for a return fist bump from both of you.
Yes.
1-2 punch.
I'm gonna very hesitantly put the fist bump out because Gaston's very confused. Yeah. Looks over at Asena.
I have one more question.
still with his outstretched fist.
Yeah, I was about to say
Yeah.
me too.
We're both still touching the fist. Yes.
How come you can't go back to Earth?
Do you remember when we went? Do you remember when we went rather to the Obsidian Tower?
Yes, there's the guy who wants to teach me bad things.
There is the guy that wants to teach you bad things, Anonymous, my best friend. There are a multitude of portals in that location, and many of them connect to the various worlds that I have had the privilege to travel through. Well, there is one that leads back to my home world. However, the other side exploded back on where I come from. And so the portal is no longer functioning. And back when I was there, I never copied any kind of portal, any kind of circle that would be able to lead back. I didn't have that kind of power at the time. So even though I have items from my home world that have a connection, I don't have the capability of being able to get there yet myself. And up until recently, I didn't have that potential. Neither did I know anybody who was able to do such a thing. However, recently we've seen Ndogalot is able to take us from one prime world to another, which begs the question, would I be able to go home? That would be amazing. I would love to go back to Earth. All the while John has his outstretched fist just bumping with Gastone, getting in this very emotional moment. I'm scared, Asena. If I was able to go back to Earth, why would I ever leave again? I've been gone from anywhere between 2 to 10 years. I had a life there. I had family. I had friends. I had a very simple existence compared to what I know now. And I don't know if I'd have the resolve to leave and return to battle the forces that seek to return core to this world if I was ever to go back.
Is that your main quest?
Getting back to my home or stopping Kerr?
To go home.
Yeah, that was my main quest. That was all I ever wanted, was to hide these pieces of the flesh of Core and then return back to my home world. But now I found out that by hiding these pieces across the multiverse, I've been apparently dooming all these worlds to have elder evils come after them, and who knows what is going to come of that. So I would say no, going back home is no longer my main quest.
Asena will smile and put her hand in.
Boosh.
Roll for arm cramps.
I actually had a feeling you'd say something like that.
I'm getting too predictable.
12.
Did you just type 12?
I just rolled a d20.
Oh.
And you got a 12? That's a goddamn sign. All right, a silence falls over the room for a moment after information, emotions, and truths are revealed. The afternoon sun continues to go down behind... Well, I have to check my map again. Towards the ocean. Towards the ocean. The 7 mountains lie to the east, as our heroes remain inside this village. Is the scene over? Does anybody else have anything that they wanted to contribute to this?
Before bed, Asena will just blurt out randomly, "You were good enough without your magic, John. Just want you to know that." And then she'll go to bed.
A long time passes, probably way too long, before John just says thank you out into the room. And John stays up working on transcribing runic spells.
All right. Does Gastone get any sleep that night?
Yes. Because something tells me he's a little overdue.
Does Asena get any sleep that night?
Yeah.
All right. We will let the sun set on our heroes here in the Botan village in the world of Yokai Blossom. And when the dawn rises, they'll join Jisha on a quest across the 7 mountains to find the dewdrop at the heart of the steel where it was overcome by the bloom. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us on tonight's sponsored episode of Coriander Society. Remember, we're sponsored by Anime 5e. You can type !anime in the chat or look in the description down below to take a look at that. And you'll join us next time on Coriander Society right here, same time, same place. Take care.